Hi everybody, my name is Chetan and I represent Mobilecom Professionals. We are here discussing the chapter number first of 5G New Radio Parameter course. Now before moving into the technical perspective of this course, first of all let me introduce you to the organization that I represent. So Mobilecom Professional is a global leader in wireless engineering. We have been working in the wireless domain from the past 15 years, providing innovative, cost-effective solutions to the customers. We have won various awards which are enlisted over here. We have an employee strength of approximately 1,000, which includes subject matter experts and telecom professionals. We have an experience in providing trainings to the corporate industry, including the different vendors as well as different operators. Some of the examples are AT&T, T-Mobile, Ericsson, Sprint, Verizon, Nokia, Vodafone, Idea, Bharti Airtel, and many more. So we have provided trainings into the multiple technology like 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. We are also into services domain where we have successfully delivered approximately 2 billion sites. Now we cover all the domains in the telecom field, which include radio frequency, RAN, and core network. Now we have a client satisfaction of about 98%. Now the different services that we provide are listed over here. So you can see the service portfolio as well as the core competencies. So we are into the service domain, product domain, as well as the solution domain. We provide drive testing solutions, we provide RF engineering solutions, transport network services, EMF test for our customers. We also have our own products such as MMAPs, drive test tools like Sigma LA, post-processing tools like Sigma PA, and so on. And we are also into providing solutions to our end customers like staffing solution, network operations, and the most important and core domain is training and educational services. So if in the training and educational services, we have provided trainings to our corporate as well as our focus is also onto universities, because our main motto is to provide skill set for the future engineers or telecom professionals. So this is all about Mobilecom Professionals, and let's now move to the technical aspects. So first of all, we'll talk about 5G introduction. So in this part, we will be covering the basics of 5G. So let's take a look onto what are the different topics that we will be covering. So first of all, we'll be covering 5G standalone versus non-standalone. So we have two types of implementation in 5G architecture. First is 5G standalone and second is 5G non-standalone. So the name itself says standalone means it is typical 5G, and non-standalone means it is 5G plus 4G, that is dual connectivity. Then we will look into the 5G deployment options. So various deployment options have been provided to us by 3GPP, and out of these different options we are going to use one in order to implement the 5G network. The first we will be starting with is option number 3, and then we will be moving to a completely standalone architecture, as option number 3 is your non-standalone approach. Then we will be talking about 5G system architecture. We will be covering both reference point as well as service based architecture. Then we will be talking about the 5G frame structure. So here we will be moving into the air interface part of the 5G. We will see the concept of slot, we will see the concept of mu, and also we will see the different numerologies that will be considered for the 5G scenario. So it is somewhat similar to 4G but yet different than 4G. Then we will have a discussion about 5G multiple access, and we will also define the physical resources of 5G. Okay, so let's move to the first topic of the chapter, which is 5G standalone versus non-standalone. But before that, let's have an introduction of the 5G air interface. So whenever we talk about 5G air interface, we have obviously new technology. So new technology means that new things will be introduced. So let's take a look. So first of the multiplexing technique. So the multiplexing technique that we are using is CP-OFDM, which is similar to what we had in LTE downlink, which is OFDMA, right? So what is the advantage of using OFDMA? It is that it provided flexibility for allocating the physical resources to the users, and also because now we are using cyclic prefix, so it will help us in mitigating the simple interference which occurred because of the multipath propagation in the air interface. Then the use of massive MIMO. So considering the 4G scenario, we were using 44R transmitters, right? 44R MIMO, which is again providing 4 input streams and getting 4 output streams. Now we are increasing the number of transmit antennas to 88R configuration or even higher than that. So therefore large number of antennas with respect to your massive MIMO. It will also increase the bandwidth for the sub 6 GHz band. Third is millimeter wave. So with the introduction of 5G, there is an introduction of a new wave, which is millimeter wave. So as the wave is millimeter, why the wave is called as millimeter? Because now the we are using very high frequency waves and the coverage of the waves will be less. So how do we improve the coverage? With the help of beamforming. So beamforming will help us in shaping our waveform into a more narrower beam, and because of these narrow beam, the energy will be you can say directed towards a particular user, and therefore we can have more coverage with respect to the beamforming used in combination of millimeter wave. Then talking about the TTI, we again have shortened TTI because now we are using different numerology in 5G, and because of the different numerology, the dimensions of slot have changed, and also because of that the TTI dimensions have also changed, and less TTI or shorter TTI means reduced latency. Okay, now there are few other innovations which are related to RAN. First is the utilization of COMP, that is coordinative multipoint, which will increase the reliability in the network. Then the small cell support, which is obviously going to increase the capacity for the user in the dense networks. Then we are using 5G new radio in the unlicensed band. So now we are using the unlicensed spectrum for implementing the 5G technology. That means now the bandwidth scarcity has reduced. Then we also have an architectural modification where the session management function is splitted from the mobility management function. So now we have AMF for mobility management and SMF for session management, and this is the enabler for RAN slicing. Then we have various applications which will which will not require a communication with the network, like device to device and V2X communication, in which both the devices will be communicating with each other in spite of the network. Okay, so the next topic is 5G standalone versus non-standalone. Now, so we will first of all discuss about the differences. So whenever we talk about standalone approach, the standalone approach means that either 5G network or 4G network. That means, what do you mean by either 5G or 4G? It means that the core network, the radio part, both, if it is of the same technology, then it is standalone. If we are using 5G plus 4G, then it is non-standalone, whether it is 5G core plus LTE RAN or LTE core plus 5G RAN. So two different aspects. One is standalone, in which the complete 5G core plus 5G RAN will be used, or 4G LTE, 4G radio plus 4G core, and then we have non-standalone, in which both LTE and 5G will be implemented together. This type of connectivity is called as your dual connectivity. So here the devices attached to the 5G NR, which routes the packet either via 4G base station to the EPC or direct to the EPC. This is nothing but your 5G standalone approach. Okay, so next about the different 5G deployment options. So we have approximately 6 options for deployment, which you can see here, which are characterized into two approaches, standalone and non-standalone. So when we talk about standalone approach, you can see that we are using the radio as well as the core network. They're of the same technology. If we talk about 5G, then we have 5G NR and 5G core of the same technology, right? So standalone approach. Or either we can have third option, in which 5G core is connected with eLTC, where eLTC is nothing but an evolved LTE RAN, in which with the help of which we can easily communicate with the 5G core. Right, so option number 1 is completely 4G, option number 2 is completely 5G, and option number 5 is modification of the LTE RAN communicating with 5G core via user plane as well as your control plane. So the dotted line is your control plane and the straight line is your user plane. Now moving towards the non-standalone approach, we have option number 3 first of all, where we are using EPC core, and we have LTE RAN and 5G RAN or radio access network. Now you can look here that the LTE is responsible for holding the control signaling, whereas 5G radio is only responsible for the user plane signaling. If we talk about option number 4, then we have 5G core, which is communicating via 5G RAN or new radio. So new radio is between new radio and 5G core, we have the control plane as well as the user plane, whereas if you talk about EPC, it is only handling the user plane of the network. Then we have this 7th configuration, in which we are having the 5G core, which is connected with the LTE RAN as well as the 5G RAN. However, now we are having eLTE or evolved LTE. That means it can directly communicate with the 5G core. So we also have a control plane with 5G core and a user plane, whereas with the 5G core we only have user plane. So this is your option number 7. Currently, first of all, the network will be deployed on the option number 3, and because we have already a base for 4G network, and then with time we are moving towards the standalone approach. So let's next move to the 5G system architecture. So whenever we talk about 5G architecture, it is actually a combination of RAN as well as core as well as devices. So we are having a RAN network where we can have either 5G new radio network or the G-Node B, or we can have eLTE or EUTRAN, or we can have non-3GPP access, right? And then we have 5G core. So if the U is communicating directly from 5G radio to 5G core, it is standalone. If it is using LTE network to communicate with the 5G core network, it is non-standalone. And then we have another option of using non-3GPP access to communicate with the 5G core network. So next is the 5G devices. Now in 5G, the devices that we are using is not only smartphone, but a number of sensors that will be used for transmitting the information. Now those sensors can be any variable, it can be any CCTV camera, it can be any in-building solution, it can be home appliances like fridge or washing machine, it can be the vending machine, it can be anything, right? So the 5G devices, we have a lot of option for providing the 5G devices which want to communicate with the network in order to send some information. So this is the broad perspective of how 5G end-to-end architecture will be looking at. As now we have two different approaches for 5G architecture. First is service-based architecture and second is reference point-based architecture. So if you talk about reference point based architecture, then it is similar to what we had in 4Gs, in which we have different network elements, and those network elements will work connected to each other via an interface, via an point-to-point interface. Then we have service-based architecture, in which new interfaces were introduced, and those interfaces are service-based interfaces. So let's take a look at the architecture in the next slide. Okay, so this is the service-based architecture that you can see here. So this is your user equipment, and user equipment is connected to the radio access network, and then from radio access network it is connected to the core network. Now core network is split into two. First is your upper part and then your lower part. So this upper part, that is your AMF, NRF, AUSF, it handles your control operation of the network, whereas for the user part you have UPF, which handles your, and also SMF, which handles your user plane functionality. Okay, now we are using service-based interfaces over here. So we have interfaces such as NNSF, NNEF, NAUSF, and so on, and these interfaces are nothing but service-based interfaces which will be invoked when I want to have an access to a particular network function. Okay, between UE to AMF I have a reference point interface which is N1, GNodeB to AMF it is N2, RAN to UPF we have N3, then SMF to UPF N4. Multiple UPF can be connected to each other via N9 interface, and UPF is connected to data network via N6 interfaces. Okay, so now let's talk about the functionality of each and every network function. So first difference that we have with respect to the 4G is that in 4G we were having the network elements like MME, S gateway, P gateway. Here the network elements are modified into network functions. So AMF, AUSF, UPF, they are the network functions. Second step is that now we have a separation of control plane as well as user plane functionality. So control plane will be handled by the upper part and the user plane will be handled by this right hand side part of the architecture. Okay, so now let's discuss about the network function in detail. If we talk about RAN, so the RAN is nothing but the GNodeB in 5G, and this GNodeB is basically defined into two parts. First is GNodeB CU and another is GNodeB DU. So GNodeB CU is GNodeB centralized unit, and GNodeB DU is GNodeB distributed unit. Okay, so one CU can be connected to multiple GNodeB DUs. Okay, so then GNodeB CU and DU, they are having a functionality split at layer 2, layer 3 protocols. So protocols like your RRC, PDCP, they are in the GNodeB CU, whereas the protocols like RLC, MAC and physical, they are into GNodeB DU. Okay, so now moving to AMF. AMF is access and mobility function. So the main responsibility of this particular network function is that it is responsible for mobility management termination of the NAS protocol, ciphering and integration of the NAS protocol, or then it is also responsible for authentication, authorization. It is going to interact with the user data management or UDM and the UE, and then based on that it is going to establish the authentication process. Then we have UPF. UPF is basically your the S gateway, P gateway of the 4G, but only handling the user plane, right? So UPF is responsible for packet forwarding, packet routing, packet inspection, and policy rule enforcement. It is also responsible for traffic accounting and reporting. It is also an anchor point for intra or inter-RAT mobility whenever that scenario is applicable. Then again, UPF is the only network function that is going to interact with the external data network for transport of signaling for the PDU session with authentication, authorization by the external network, and that is done on the interface N6. So the next network function is your SMF, which is session management control function, and it supports the session management. And the most important functionality of SMF is that it is going to allocate the UE IP address. So in 4G, this functionality was done by P gateway, right? So some functionality of P gateway, some functionality of S gateway, and then session management functionality of MME combined together is SMF. Okay, session management function. So the downlink data notification, which was done by the P gateway in the LTE network, is done by SMF in the 5G network. Roaming functionality is the functionality of SMF. Charging, interception, everything is done by the SMF in here. Then we have PCF. PCF is responsible for providing policy rules for the control plane function, for example, for network slicing, roaming, mobility. And it is also responsible for the subscription information access in order to have the policy decision which are taken by the UDR. Then it is also supporting the new 5G quality of service policy and charging control function. Then we have AUSF. AUSF is authentication server function, and the role of AUSF is to implement the keys in the authentication server by storing them. Then we have UDM, or user data unified data management, and it is responsible for generation of the authentication keys which are stored in AUSF for user identification, for access authorization, and for subscription management. Then we have AF, which is application function. The responsibilities of AF are that it is used for accessing the NEF, and then it performs the same function as of the EPC application function, and it influences the traffic routing, and it has the interaction with the policy framework for the policy control. Then we will move to the next network function, which is your NRF. NRF is NF, or network function repository function, and the service registration, the discovery function, so that the network function can discover each other, are defined in the NRF. It will maintain the profile of the network functions and the available NF instances. Then we have NEF. So NEF is going to provide a mechanism for securely exposing the services and features of 5G core. So this NEF is responsible for exposing the capabilities and events, for control plane parameter provisioning, and for the packet flow description management. It is also responsible for securing provision of information from an external application to 3GPP network. Finally, we have NSSF, which is network slice selection function. It will redirect the traffic to a network slice, and network slicing are defined for different classes of subscribers, which will be defined with respect to the application, which will be defined with respect to the use cases applied for these applications. So the key responsibility for NSSF are that it is going to select the network slice instances which will be serving the user. It will be determining the allowed NSSAI or identity. It is also determining the AMF set which is used to serve the particular user. So these are all the network functions that we have discussed over here, and with respect to their service based interfaces. Next, we will be discussing or looking into the 5G reference point architecture, in which everything is going to be similar to the 5G service based architecture, and the only fact Toto.